Hello and welcome to Connected with Latham, where we discuss ideas, legal developments and business trends shaping the global economy. I'm Rob Moulton, a partner in Latham & Watkins' London office. In this episode, part of a 10-part series complementing our 10 key focus areas for UK regulated firms in 2024 report, we discuss the FCA's criminal enforcement against individuals. And to discuss this, I'm joined by my colleague from the London office, partner Pamela Reddy. Pamela, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Rob. It's great to be here.
So we know the FCA has statutory powers to prosecute a whole range of criminal offences, insider dealing, market manipulation. How active is the FCA in this space?
That's an opportune question, actually, Rob. Just recently, the FCA secured a highly publicised conviction for insider trading and fraud offences. A former conflicts analyst at a major investment bank was found to have used inside information obtained through his job to make a £140,000 profit from trading shares in 6 companies. He made fraudulent loan applications to fund the trades and claimed he would use the money for home improvements. He received a sentence of 22 months in prison. His brother, a former city sister, was charged with the same offences but was acquitted a week earlier because the judge directed the jury that the brother had no case to answer. Apart from this, we've also seen the FCA charge 15 individuals with fraud offences since April 2023, which they've claimed is the most charges they've ever brought in a year. The FCA also achieved 5 fraud convictions in the same period, largely related to various types of fraudulent investment scheme. On the whole, though, the FCA haven't been especially active in criminal enforcement for some time, although they commented that they were sending a clear message that economic crime is on their radar. But I'm afraid this isn't being borne out in new criminal investigations.
Why not, Pamela? Tell us more about this period of relative inactivity.
Well, I think, Rob, the first headline is that the FCA is opening fewer enforcement cases, and this is true of regulatory as well as criminal cases. I mean, let's take insider dealing as an example. The FCA statistics show that only 25 new cases were opened in 2020-2021, and that's less than a third of the 78 cases opened in 2016-17. The total number of open insider dealing cases has also declined almost every year since 2016-17. The second related headline is that even when the FCA does actually open a criminal enforcement case, it's taking a lot longer to wrap up. On average, the investigation stage of an enforcement case lasted 29 months in 2020-2021. That's now more than doubled to around 59 months. And the knock-on effect of that is that it's much harder for them to obtain a conviction where witnesses are being asked to give evidence about events going back several years. There's also clearly an argument that the FCA's resources could be better allocated. And Therese Chambers, one of the FCA's new executive directors of enforcement, has been vocal about wanting to close down cases that aren't actually going to go anywhere.
And so why does the FCA have that difficulty in closing criminal investigations and bringing charges against individuals?
I think it's really down to the high burden of proof in criminal cases, which is obviously beyond reasonable doubt, and that poses a significant hurdle for the FCA. Before they can charge a suspect, the FCA needs to have gathered enough evidence to conclude that a court would be more likely than not to convict. If the evidence is too weak, the FCA may have to drop the case. For the same reason, the FCA might decide it's a safer bet to rely on its civil or regulatory enforcement powers, provided they're available to the circumstances, because the standard of proof is less demanding because it's on a balance of probabilities.
And you alluded a few moments ago to the change in leadership at the FCA Enforcement and Market Oversight team. And indeed, the structure of that team is different to the past. So what can we expect, do you think, from Therese Chambers and Steve Smart going forward?
The FCA has said that these new appointments are a step on the road to it becoming a more assertive regulator. Steve Smart, in particular, may help boost the FCA's confidence opening criminal cases, leveraging his experience as head of intelligence at the National Crime Agency. And we're definitely seeing that with the SFO, with the new director, Nick Fgrave. He's taken a much more active stance with the cases that he's launched, with dawn raids, etc., being carried out.
And Steve's got this sort of criminal background from the NCA. Do you think that's going to see more cooperation between the FCA and other agencies?
It certainly seems that way. Earlier this month, the FCA worked with the NCA to arrest 3 individuals on suspicion of insider dealing, conspiracy to insider dealing, and money laundering linked to organised crime. And it's not just the NCA. Last year, the FCA worked with the Met Police to conduct a multi-site search and arrest operation. They charged 5 individuals with conspiracy to commit insider dealing and money laundering. The FCA has also signed a memorandum of understanding with the SFO, and that MOU sets out a framework for cooperation between the 2 agencies, including information sharing, notifying each other of investigations of mutual interest, and consulting each other on certain public statements. The FCA and SFO are also expected to meet regularly to discuss policy and strategy. So it looks like we can expect a more collaborative FCA going forward, as well as hopefully a more assertive one.
Well, thanks, Pamela.
Thanks again, Rob.
And thank you for listening to this episode in our Connected with Latham podcast series. You can subscribe and listen to new and archived episodes of our podcasts on lw.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you'd like more information about the topics in this podcast or to access our 10 key focus areas in 2024 report, please visit the links located in the description. We hope you'll join us again next time.
This podcast is provided as a service of Latham & Watkins LLP. Listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship between you and Latham & Watkins LLP, and you should not send confidential information to Latham & Watkins LLP. While we make every effort to assure that the content of this podcast is accurate, comprehensive, and current, we do not warrant or guarantee any of those things. And you may not rely on this podcast as a substitute for legal research and/or consulting a qualified attorney. Listening to this podcast is not a substitute for engaging a lawyer to advise you on your individual needs. Should you require legal advice on the issues covered in this podcast, please consult a qualified attorney. Under New York's Code of Professional Responsibility, portions of this communication contain attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. Results depend upon a variety of factors unique to each representation. Please direct all inquiries regarding the conduct of Latham & Watkins attorneys under the New York's disciplinary rules to Latham & Watkins LLP, 1271 Avenue of the Americas, New York, New York, 10020. Phone number 1-212-906-1200.